Hey everybody, and welcome back to Wednesday Live here on the Victoria Marie YouTube channel. I'm Victoria. I'm so glad that you are here joining me. Make sure you pop a hello in the chat section. Let me know that you are here. Also, if you enjoy today's live stream, make sure you hit that thumbs up. That lets YouTube know that you're enjoying the content. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. You know the deal. Hit the subscribe button so that you can be a part of the Victoria Marie Designs community. We would love to have you. Today, I am sharing those 10 layouts that I made back in May 6th on International Scrapbook Day. It's the first Saturday of every May is National Scrapbook Day. And I went live here on the channel and I created 10 layouts using one paper pad, which was a lot of fun. The recorded replay is in my live stream playlist. It's here on the channel. So if you want to go and check that out, please go and do so. And yeah, so today it's been actually a few weeks, several weeks. My intention was to add the journaling and finish the pages immediately after the live stream, but life got super hectic with the end of the school year and all that. Well, for us, it's the ballet season for my daughter and her ballet classes and the whole nine. And then there was, work projects and all that. So needless to say, I finally was able to put the finishing touches on those layouts. There's 2 layouts that did not get finished, and I'll tell you why, because I'm going to redo them. But there's one layout that I did redo. I'm going to show you that too. Pictures of all the layouts I'm going to show you today are now available on the Victoria Marie blog. So if you want to head over to my blog, there's a link down in the description and you can see photos of the layouts. So if you want some creative inspiration, I also post the ones that I didn't finish. I'll explain more in detail why I didn't finish them during the live stream, but you can see them over on the Victoria Marie blog, and that link is down in the description. So make sure that you check it out. Also, before we get started today, just wanted to remind you, I am doing a live Zoom workshop this weekend. It's called Let's Create. It's a part of my layering series. We're going to be talking about texture and dimension. Last month, we talked about layered embellishment clusters, and that was a huge hit, well-attended workshop. We had a lot of people participate in that workshop and got a lot of creative inspo and learned some tips and tricks and things on how to enhance their layered composition. So we started with layered embellishments. This month, we're going to talk about adding texture and dimension. And this is specifically designed for those of you who are a little eerie about, am I adding too much, too little? How do I do it? How do I make my layouts look more dimensional and add a little bit more texture using some elements that maybe you haven't considered before, that type of thing. So come join me. It is a mini workshop. It's only an hour and a half. $10 USD. You can register today. Tomorrow's the last day. There is a link posted down below. So if you want to come join us this Saturday, June 17th, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, come and join us. You can register, and if you're not available or if 10 a.m. is too early or too late for you, you can always watch the workshop on replay. All participants who sign up for the workshop get access to the recorded replay. There are 2 more live workshops in this series, one in July, one in August, and I'll be sharing more information about that. But for this month, come join us on Saturday. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know some of you are already registered. Some of you joined me last month, which is great. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Let's get started. All right, let me head on to the chat. Let's see who's all here. Hello, everybody. Hello. I'm so glad that you are here. Hey, girl. Hey, Carol. What's going on? Barb is here. Elizabeth, hello. We've got two friends from Italy today, actually. Hey, Kinsey. Excuse me. Hello. Deb says it's my 27th wedding anniversary. Well, congratulations. Happy anniversary and cheers to many, many more. That's fantastic. Hey, Gail from Ohio. That's awesome. I love it. I love it. Hey, Emily. Hey, Marisha, how are you? Big hugs, girl. What's going on? Hey, Crystal. So glad everyone's here. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into this. So if you didn't know, in May, I hosted a live stream. This was the second time that I've done this, where I took one paper pad and I made 10 layouts live here on the channel. And the idea was to encourage you to use a paper pad from your stash, even though a lot of you went out and bought the paper pad. You did that the first time and you did it the second time, but that's okay. That's all right. So anyway, Take one paper pad from your stash, and it could be a 12 by 12 paper pad, a 6 by 6 paper pad, a 6 by 8 paper pad, whatever paper pad you had in your stash. You pick one, pull some items from your stash, put together a few little page kits to see how many projects you can make. And for me, I made 10. So that was a challenge. There are a lot of you who participated in the challenge. You were posting your photos on Instagram or sharing them on Facebook and tagging me in it. I love to see it. In fact, we just had a Victoria Marie community member who just finished all 10 of her projects as she was inspired by the live stream. And I absolutely love it. And my thing is we buy all of this paper, right? We have a lot of paper. A lot of us have a lot of paper. And sometimes I think we forget that these paper pads exist for us to create. So let me know in the chat, how many paper pads, let's just, put it all out there. How many paper pads do you think you have in your stash right now? I can confidently say I probably have 10, 12 by 12 paper pads. And I probably have about, I would say conservatively, I'm looking at my little storage here, I'd probably have about almost 12, 15, 6 by 6 paper pads, and about a handful about this thick of 6 by 8 paper pads, if I'm honest. So I have some paper pads. So let me know, how many paper pads do you think you have? There was a time where I had literally 3 stacks high of paper pads. Like I had several, like well over 100 paper pads in my stash, and I have since given a lot of those away over the years. Too many to count. About 10. Just finished the layout from the old paper pad, I just realized. Fantastic. Hey Nancy, what's going on? Camilla says that she has too many to count. I feel you. I feel you on that. Too many to count. How many paper pads do you think you have? Struggle finding embellishments from my stash to go with the paper pads since they don't come with embellishments. You know, Maria, that gives me an idea of maybe potentially down the road I can do a tutorial on how you can do that. And you know, my top tips for that, and in fact, I'm going to talk about that a little bit in today's live, is to not look for something that's going to perfectly match, but look for a starting point, right? So if your paper pad has a specific color palette to it, then you can look for elements that match that color palette. If it has a specific theme to it, you can look for elements that kind of coordinate with that theme. But I'll talk about that a little bit more, but maybe I need to do a tutorial on that. Okay, Miss Allen says maybe 30, 6 by 6, one 6 by 6 paper pad, probably 100, 12 by 12 says Gil, yeah. Just counted 38, says Industrial Tumbleweed. Yeah, I know, right? Robin says about 10, 12 by 12s, probably about the same 6 by 6. Maybe 10 to 15 larger ones. They're all collections from my favorite designers. I pulled apart the other kind last year and purged papers I don't use. Yeah, that is a really good tip. I used to do this a lot when you buy a paper pad so you don't feel pressured to use the papers in the pad that you don't like. If you just pull it apart, keep the papers that you do like, and then you can let the other papers, give those to somebody else, right? Carla says at least 100. Crystal says, Victoria, thanks for all your hard work. Aw. Consideration to this hobby, much appreciated. Thank you, Crystal. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you. I totally accept that beautiful compliment. Thank you so much, friend. I love being here. I love doing this. This is fantastic. Emily says about 20. Kinsey, we all need to do a lot of scrapping to use these papers. We could probably scrap literally the rest of our lives, right? Without having to buy anything else. You know, we would have all the things that we would need and then some. All right, our creative coordinator wants to slide in and say hello.
Patty.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. We are, after this live stream, we are going to be getting ready to, for those who don't know, if you're new to this channel, this is my daughter, Corinne.
Hello.
She's 13 going on 23. I'm sad about it. Next week, she will be at Camp Half-Blood, a summer camp for Percy Jackson enthusiasts, if you have heard of that canon. It's kind of like Harry Potter, but for
Greek mythology.
Greek and Roman mythology. Yeah, Greek and Roman mythology. So yeah, so you just want to say hi?
Yes, just want to say hi, pop in.
Just pop in, do your thing. After this, we're gonna go shop for supplies for the camp. And all those good things. It's a day like 8 to 5. So we're gonna stay at an Airbnb. It's in Austin, and we'll drop her off at 8 and pick her up at 5. And during that time, you're gonna be doing?
I'll be at camp, fighting monsters, fighting gods,
Yeah.
It's your everyday, average stuff.
Everyday stuff. All the demigods doing their thing. People are saying hello to you in the chat.
Hello. Having a good day.
Having a good day. Summer break for us. She just got back from Oklahoma visiting her grandparents. How many books did your grandparents get you? Because she usually always gets a whole stack when she goes to visit her grandparents.
Got about 12.
12 books from the grandparents.
It could have been 15, so
You should have made it 15.
Well,
I mean,
I should have.
Go big or go home, right? All right, well, thank you for saying hi.
Let's hop in.
Oh, thanks, guys. Thank you. I love my girl. She's gotten so big. I know a lot of you have been with me for a while. You remember when she was like teeny tiny. Oh, boy. So, yeah, we all have lots and lots of paper pads. Yeah, it does sound like a fun camp, right? They get this particular organization that does this camp. They do it throughout the U.S., like in certain states in the U.S. Some are overnight and some are just day. And so we're doing the day camp. It's not local to us, so we're going to go stay in Austin for a week. Bree and I are going to work and just kind of hang out while she's doing her thing. And they hire like camp counselors and actors, and it's like a whole thing. And they get to play out all these different scenarios and stuff based off the books. And they learn leadership and confidence. And they do all these other things that are mixed into the canon. It's going to be really fun. So I know she's so grown up now. She is. I know. Hey, Sharon. How are you, friend? Jealous of daughters. I have 4 sons. Sons are great, too. I say that. I don't have a son, but but sons are great, right? Sons are great. So we have, we're really cute together. Thank you, Orphe. She's my best friend. She's my absolute best friend. So we have a certain number of paper pads in our stash, right? And so the challenge was to use the paper pads, and excuse me while I adjust my mount because I'm having all kinds of issues with this thing right now. The object behind this particular challenge was to use one paper pad to create several projects. Now, if you want to go, hey, Barbara Thomas, hey, girl, how are you, sis? So if you want to go back and check out this challenge, the recorded replay is here on my channel. You can also go to my live stream playlist and you'll find it there. And I also have a prep video. And if you want to go back and do this challenge, what I recommend is you grab my free paper pad 10 layout challenge planner worksheet, and the link is available in the prep version of the one paper pad 10 layout live stream prep video, and you can find that here on my channel. The link is in the description. Grab this, and I also posted on the Victoria Marie blog, so if you want to go and search the blog to find this, you're more than welcome to do this. This is absolutely free. You can download this, and what you can do is just prep out the projects that you want to create. So for the layouts that I'm showing you today, I made a list of the supplies that I wanted to use, also the stories that I wanted to tell. So I was selective about the stories for this project, and you can do this based on, let's say, you have holiday stories you want to tell. Then grab a paper pad with the theme of whatever holiday, grab your supplies and knock out those pages. Maybe it's travel, maybe it's everyday. You would grab elements based upon the type of stories that you want to tell. And then you have room to sketch out your various designs. And I did use a lot of these sketches. I changed some things up, but I did use a lot of these during the live stream. And I like sketching because I don't typically like to start off cold. And so if I can sketch things out and get a visual, that helps a lot. So I'm a huge fan of sketches. I have to thank you for your videos and using what you have. Yes. I'm making my own packs. Awesome, Karen. I'm so glad to hear that. Oh my goodness, that's so fantastic. The planner is great. Used it for my one paper pad project. Awesome. So make sure you can check out the Victoria Marie blog. If you search one paper pad 10 layout challenge on my blog, you can also access it. I posted a link for the replay of the prep live and then the actual live stream that I made the 10 layouts. You can find the link there to get this planner if you want to use that. Okay, so that's where that all started. Here's the paper pad. I know a lot of you went out and bought it. Even though I said, don't go buy the paper pad. Get the paper pad from your stash. And you guys went and you bought it. And that's okay. So this is the Park Lane Vintage Chic paper pad. I actually found this at Joann. This is a Joann brand, and I have not been able to find it online. Some people have been able to find it. I haven't been able to find it online on Joann. So anyway, if you're interested, look online or both in the store. This was the remaining papers that I had left. And honestly, if I'm going to be honest with you guys, this probably wasn't the best paper pad for this challenge, because a lot of these papers are great for backgrounds, which is fine. And there are some cut aparts. Maybe. Did I have some cut aparts in here? I don't think this one had any cut aparts at all. It was just, well, maybe it had some. It had maybe, yeah, it had some cut aparts in here, which is fine. But I think there needed to be a little bit more variety in terms of the design for this paper pad, because I found myself getting a little bored and a little challenged using some of these patterns. They're beautiful. I would use them as a starting base for backgrounds. Maybe I fussy cut this one for another layout. So in hindsight, I probably wouldn't have picked this paper pad, but I think I was able to get a lot of mileage from it. So let's go ahead and look at the layouts. And again, the layouts, photos of the layouts are on my blog. So make sure you go check that out. The link is posted in the description. I can't remember in the order that I'm showing you these layouts. I can't remember if this was the order that I actually did them live. So just bear with me. First up is the 8.5 by 11 layout. And let me do this real quick so we can see. I've never done a live layout share before, guys. So here we go. This is 8.5 by 11. It's called Happiness is a Cute Strawberry Cardie. And so this is me in a strawberry cardie that I received for Christmas, and I absolutely love it. It's kind of too hot to wear it right now in Texas. But yeah, really cute. So what I did, of course, was took some of those pattern papers, paired it with some embellishments from my stash. So when I was making kits, one of the things that I looked at, since this was pretty basic and it went well for every day, I could do a variety of different stories. So for this layout, I picked out some embellishments from Citrus Twist, and the color story really followed the color story of the paper pad. And it worked well with the colors that were in the photo. So I've got those reds kind of popping out with the strawberries on my cardigan, and the pink and the blue from my jeans and the red from my headband. So it went well, right? The colors really coordinated. I grabbed some sticker fonts from Ellie Studio, again, going with the colors there. And then a little sticker sheet. I don't think I actually used this on here. No, I didn't. What else did I use? I used some chipboard. I grabbed some chipboard pieces. So this is from Thickers. It's called Delight. And so all together, pairing this from my stash, since this was an everyday sort of scrapbook page, it didn't really have a huge theme to it. These items all worked well with this paper pad to make this layout. And the pattern paper is doing majority of the work. So I cut down a base to 8.5 by 11. And then slightly smaller, trimmed this green pattern paper, added a white piece of cardstock, and I did some faux stitching using a stamp from Bo Bunny, which I love, and I just used some navy blue ink, and then created 2 embellishment clusters. In this die cut pack here, it included some large embellishments, and so I used those as an anchor. If you've been with me and I taught about, seen me teach about layering, you know that I talk about using an anchor and then stacking embellishments and then adding details. So those large floral bits were my anchors, and then I came in with some chipboard, little phrase here that's from that die cut pack. I also used a pocket card from my stash to serve as a spot for my journaling. Typed up my journaling. I actually pre-typed this before I made it. Then I used some puffy stickers from Simple Stories as part of the title. And then some letters from Felicity Jane, as well as Ellie Studio, to create the title. So I've got this multi-font, multicolor title going on here. So that was, I think this might have been the first layout I made. I can't remember. So I love the way that this came out, really highlighting a lot of those pattern papers. I use a solid cardstock to kind of mute those pattern papers a little bit. Added a bit of interest with a little strip that's running here, a little skewed from the center. And I think this is great. I love making 8.5 by 11 layouts, particularly if I only have one photo that I'm going to scrapbook, versus using a 12 by 12 or creating a 12 by 12. I like to create 8.5 by 11. So there we go. Crystal says that cardigan is everything, right? I love this cardigan. It's so great. All right. So that's what I used for that layout. So that was a lot of fun. Okay. next, love this layout. And again, all of these layouts, pictures of the layouts are available to you on my blog. Next up is another 8.5 by 11 layout. This one's called Truly Outrageous. And here, if you kind of get the theme here, I like scrapbooking about myself. I have no qualms with that. I like to wear graphic tees, and so often I'll take a picture of myself in one of my favorite graphic tees. So this one just happens to be Jim from Jim and the Holograms, for those of you who are 80s babies like me. Love Jim. I had the Jim doll, watched a Jim cartoon on Saturday, and I found this t-shirt, I think on Amazon. It's one of my favorites. Paired that with a yellow cardigan. So what I did was I took one of the pattern papers from the paper pad and I trimmed down a piece of it to 8.5 by 11, and then I fussy cut the floral element to kind of make it look as though the pattern is just sort of interceding right into that purple pattern paper, right? And then I use these spots as anchors for embellishments. So I paired the paper pad with die cuts from Simple Stories. And I'm showing you the product that I'm using because I know some of you struggle a little bit to try to coordinate things with your paper pad, so I want to show you what I used. I also use some enamel dots from LDRS Creative. This is from their One Fine Day collection. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Suze. I was about to call you Jim. You're not Jim, you're Suze. I also use some letters from Ellie Studio because I hoard these letters so much. I absolutely love them, but I'm glad that I'm using them. So it's paired with that. Also paired with some letters from the Hit Hit Club. And if you're kind of seeing here where I'm going with the colors, right, with these pattern papers, it's all working out. I also added some chipboard from the Beautiful Day thickers, and this I think paired with a Vicky Bouton collection, but I can't remember what. And from this, I think I just grabbed this tab here. I thought I had something else with that, but maybe I didn't. Some more thickers that have been in my stash. This is from the Garden Party collection. I used some of the puffy florals here and here from this collection. And all of that paired very well with this paper pad, right? Just taking hints and colors and elements from this paper pad. So I've got pinks, I've got yellows, I've got blues, all nice and coordinating together. I'm not looking for an exact match, right? It's just all flowing together. And because this paper pad lends itself well to everyday stories, I could basically create any theme layout, right? And just pull in embellishments that went with the theme of my layout. Now, I don't have anything that's specific to Jim herself, but I really love the way that this layout came together. Went ahead and reduced the size of my photo. I think this might be a little bit like I can't remember what size this is, but this is a little bit under 4x6. Then I have two 2x2 photos here at the bottom. That might be slightly bigger than 2x2. That might be 2x5 to add in more photos on this 8.5 by 11 spread. So the key, if you're like me and you're one-page scrapbooker or you don't want to do 2 pages, is if you can reduce the size of your photos, you can add in multiple photos on a smaller spread, right? If you love 8.5 by 11. Hey, Tamika, how are you? I'm so glad you get to catch me live today. Welcome, friend. Hey, Cindy. Late to the office meeting. That's okay. We won't hold it against you, Cindy. For those of you who are new, we call this our staff meeting. So anyway, that's how this layout turned out. And of course, the die cuts are from the Simple Stories, Simple Vintage Cottage Fields collection. So I love the way this came out. Added a little chipboard today there at the top. I rounded out this cluster. This is a little fabric banner here with a little chipboard piece that says, well, I'm covering it up, so I guess I can't read it. It says, picture this, and then a little die cut butterfly with a little dot in the middle. Repeated a cluster here, just kind of playing up with the florals. It kind of looks like those butterflies just landed right on those flowers. Add in a puffy sticker for a little bit of contrast. Added a tab here because you guys know me and my tabs. A little puffy sticker here, just repeating the floral element. This is sort of supplemental here. And then I have this this little label here that says today is going to be a good day. And I anchored that with this little banner that I actually cut from one of the pocket cards that came with this paper pad. And then of course I repeated the same thing up here with this layered cluster. And the cool thing is, if you are new to layering or you're trying to improve your skills, doing something like fussy cutting a large floral element that can kind of serve as a background, using that as an anchor, and then you can add elements to it to kind of fill it out, right? So there's that one. This is probably one of my favorite ones that I made. All right, so that was layout number 2. I'm not sure if that was the exact order that I made the layout, but at least for this purpose, that's layout number 2. And I absolutely love it. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I think that's one of my favorite ones that I've made, and whatnot. Jim and the holograms, that's right. We're 80s babies. Absolutely. I was born in 81. I know, I'm an infant. I know. I'm so little. Next up, 12 by 12 layout. This one is called, this is what a gamer looks like. And I'm using this chipboard piece here that has that phrase on the chipboard piece. This one was one of my favorite ones to make. So using, of course, pattern paper from the paper pad. This one is very busy. And so if you want to mute pattern paper, then what you want to do is layer other designs that are not as busy, and then create a point of delineation between the pattern papers by using solid cardstock. You can also do that by using vellum or some other substrate as well. You can use glitter paper, however you want your design to look. These circle photos I created using Canva. Very, very easy to do. Very easy to do. They have templates in Canva that you can pop your photos in and do all kinds of fun stuff. You can also do this manually with circle cutters, you know, that type of thing. And I used, some chipboard. This is called Awesome Life from Hip Kit Club. I've had this in my stash for a while. And what I'm doing, if you notice in this pattern paper, I'm really playing to the blues and the greens and the yellows. This coordinated very well with this, right? I also used a little bit of stickers from Amy Tangerine's Bold and Brave collection. Again, the color story, very similar. So that worked out. I grabbed some die cuts. Notice I got some large die cuts on here. Again, using that flower, those florals as an anchor, right? So I just grabbed some of these large die cuts from the Paige Evans, what collection was this? Wonders collection. And this particular collection had lots of large floral die cuts. So I want to use that in some way. Again, the color stories all coordinating very well together. I also grabbed a few things from, did I grab some stuff from here? I probably did. Maybe I didn't. Maybe not this one. Let me set that to the side because I don't think, oh yes I did. Or maybe it wasn't that. Hold on. Hang on tight. I'm trying to remember what I did. Trying to remember what I used. I did use a little bit of stickers from the Round Trip collection from Maggie Holmes. Just a couple of stickers. And again, just going with that color story. This one had some florals in it, some blues and greens and such. So that went very well. And I also, I want to say I used something from here, but I don't think I did. I don't think I ended up doing this. This is called Girl Power. But I don't think that I used anything from that. So pattern paper paired with these elements, and notice that I didn't have to use a whole lot, right? I didn't have to grab a whole bunch of stuff. I grabbed what I thought that I would use. Of course, you can add to it, creating some embellishment clusters. I didn't want this to be over the top girly, but I did want to have some kind of softness to this as well. So grab some of these flowers, mainly to serve as an anchor and as a pop of color. Put in some chipboard flowers, put in a rainbow, as well as a little camera, some stars, this arrow that says wow, words like epic and awesome and game on and be happy. I thought all of that worked well for this particular design. And I just love how these clusters came out using some texture and dimension. This is what I'm gonna be talking about this weekend, is how can you add texture and dimension to your layouts in a fun way to make them really pop. I use this chipboard sticker that says, this is what the greatest gamer of all time looks like, is what it says. And then paired that with the word awesome. So that's kind of supplemental to that. Did a little hand journaling there. And I just love the way that this came out. Love it. Love the circle photos. That's something different. Arrows for direction. Just showing my daughter playing her Genshin Impact game on her phone. So there we go. Really love the way that that came out. And of course, if we go back to the elements, for those of you who are stuck on, well, what do I pick with my paper pads? It really depends on what it is that you're scrapbooking. So I'm doing a whole bunch of, Addie, you're very welcome, friend. I'm doing a lot of the layouts that I did for these particular projects were all everyday stories. And so I reached in my stash for elements that would work for everyday stories. So theme. And then I also reached for products that had a similar color story. It doesn't have to be a direct match to match, one to one, but it's close enough. And there's a lot of shades and hues and things like that that all work together. So I know if there's reds and blues and greens, then I also know that I can put in various shades of reds, blues, and greens as well, right? And so I just went through and found items that fit the theme of the stories that I was telling. Okay? That's how you get a lot of usage out of your kits. Oh, I also used some enamel dots as well. I grabbed some enamel dots from Echo Park. This was from the Cute Little Dreamer collection. So I used those as well. Okay, moving on. I hope this is helpful for those of you who are wanting to do this challenge, or if you're wanting to make a few kits so that you can be a little bit more planful with your projects. When you're pulling items from your stash, one, don't overthink it. Two, you want to find elements that work best for the design that you want to create. All right, so this is another 12 by 12 layout, again, multi-photo. I've got a photo here that's about 4 by 6 inches, and I've got photos down here that I think are 2 by 2, 2.5 by 2.5 inches, I believe. And for this one, I use a lot of elements from Simple Stories because, I mean, gosh, who doesn't love Simple Stories? And this one's called Just Bloom, Grow. And this is me doing yoga one morning, and the sun just came through my window and was just shining on me as I was kind of doing my exercises, and I took a picture of myself. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to talk about my fitness journey that I've been on this since being diagnosed as pre-diabetic. And so that's what this layout was all about. So I used a wood grain pattern paper from the paper pad, and then the other pattern papers I used to layer and anchor the photos. So we've got this pretty floral piece here. I've got the green pattern paper that's kind of highlighting my photo. And this is a really good tip if you are working your photo against a pattern paper, is to find one that has a subtle pattern to it so your photo will pop. And then I have this band of pattern paper that's going down here that I used a border punch to add that little scallop bit right there. So I have a spot here where I integrated the title as a part of my layering, and I used a whole bunch of die cuts, foam pieces here. I had a little bit of adhesive that was stuck on these, so this kind of ruined a little bit, but that's okay. It's just going to stay the way it is. I have a puffy label that says Sunshine Kisses, a little rainbow here. Did a bunch of wonderful layering. I love that little butterfly right there on top of that rainbow. Got some other little puffy or foam stickers here, which are gorgeous. Come over here to this layering element. I got a butterfly. I usually use butterflies a lot in my projects, particularly when I'm talking about growth and change. It's just something symbolic that I like to use. Also some more cardstock pieces here, and added in some typed journaling to kind of talk about my health journey. Now, for this layout, I used the Simple Stories Full Bloom. Love Simple Stories. Love this collection. It's fabulous. The foam stickers. I also used some stickers from the Scrapbook, which came in handy for that. And this is really about gardening, but I made it work for this layout. I also grabbed some cardstock die cuts from the Hip Kit Club. This was the Together is Best. I forget what, this was from 2022, but I forget what kit that came out of. I also used some flourish embellishments. This is again from the Hip Kit Club kit. And then my Heidi Swap Puffy stickers. So all of these items together created a really fun layout, right? But if you look at the cover of this paper pad, you might be thinking, well, how does all of this coordinate with this paper pad? Well, the cool thing about paper pads is that you can isolate certain color stories to get a little bit of variety in the items that you use. I'm sorry, it's hard to see that background against my wood grain table. So for instance, I started with this wood grain base because it's neutral, and I knew that I could build upon that. And then from the paper pad, I isolated the floral here that has a bunch of orange and green, and then a green pattern paper, and then this sort of coral pattern paper. So when I went in my stash to find things, I could then find items with a color story that was similar, right? So you want to pay attention to the papers that you're pulling, right? How you're coordinating them from a color standpoint, and then what you compare with it from your stash, because 9 times out of 10, you can create a totally different design than what you probably think you can just by looking at the cover of the paper pad. I'm going to show you another example of this here in a moment, okay? So this layout came from the same paper pad as this layout and this layout, right? 2 different designs, 3 different designs. All right, so there's that one. Okay, moving along. I hope this is helpful. Let's get to another 12 by 12. This one is probably one of my favorites. Again, talking about my health journey. This one's called One Step at a Time. I finished this after the live. Some of these, what I did was after the live stream, I went and kind of tightened up the design a little bit. Thanks, Cindy. Yes, thank you so much. Alrighty, I love this one. So we've got, again, multi-photos. I created this photo piece here using, what did I use? I probably used Canva for this, and I used the template in Canva. Again, very simple to do. Started out with beautiful color pattern paper, muted this back pattern paper with this sort of lavender color. It has a slight pattern to it in white, so it's not overwhelming. Layered a little bit of pattern paper and some white cardstock to add a point of delineation. I have a band that's going horizontal across the page, which you can't really see all that much. I anticipated my photos to be a little bit smaller when I designed this, but it's okay. I also used one of the pocket cards from the collection to add just a little bit more layering into that. And then, of course, using items from my stash, I created these embellishment clusters that move in a diagonal across the page. So it allows you to take in the journaling and the photos. It's not overwhelming. And of course, using a color that's hard for us to use sometimes, which is lavender. So here is, oh, thanks so much, Melanie. Here is one of the clusters using foam and die cuts, chipboard rather, pieces there, and some frames. I used frames as an anchoring piece. Every time I do that, I always get a comment about how someone had never thought to use frames this way on their layouts. Absolutely. So you can put photos behind your frames. You can put pattern paper. I put vellum behind these frames, and you can use them as an anchor, right? I'm going to come over here to this cluster, same thing. Use the frame as an anchor. I've got my floral clusters here, butterfly and whatnot, a little texting that says "You matter," and then created a title using, again, letter stamps and such from my stash to create that one step at a time. This one's a heavy journal one, so I created a tag from cardstock. I typed my journaling on vellum because when I originally designed this layout, I thought I was just going to put the typed journaling just directly on the page. Then I thought I would type the journaling on the tag, and then I forgot. So I typed the journaling, I cut that down, and I created a tag to fit the journaling. So this is kind of the best of all worlds for this particular layout. So I've got multi-photos, I've got a compelling story that I'm telling here, and I was able to get some layered clusters on there. So for this one, again, pairing, looking more towards theme than anything, I've got some chipboard stickers from Simple Stories. From the Amy Tangerine collection, I've got these stickers. This is from her Be Bold and Brave collection. I used a lot of these stickers from the sticker pack, and I've had this in my stash for quite a while, so I'm glad I was able to use it. Again, the color stories, very, very close. Pink Fresh Studio frames, I love them. They make some of the best frames. I absolutely love these. I've been itching to use this one. I'm going to use that one on a project soon. So I use the frames to anchor, to create these layered clustered anchors here. I reached deep into my Felicity Jane stash and grabbed the Lola chipboard alphas. This is some of my favorite, and I remember when they came out with this. This was back in 2018, and that was used to create the one-step part of the title. I also reached for some Ellie Studio puffy stickers, again, a part of the title, just pairing those together. And then I reached for, I've had this in my stash for a while. In fact, this label sticker goes with this. Let me put this away. This is from Citrus Twist, and it's just a sheet of labels and text stickers. And I initially got this to use in my, oh goodness, when I'm doing kind of like project life type things. Okay, that's probably not going to go back in there. I'm just going to leave it like this for now. But of course you can use this on a regular scrapbook page too. But notice the color story very similar. And I'll slip that back in there somehow. And that's it. That's it for that one. But a lot of the layering and stuff came from these two sheets, the chipboard and the foam. And I want to point this out, that you don't need to grab all the things when you're making a layout. Challenge yourself, grab about 5 or 6 items, and challenge yourself to see what kind of composition you can make. You can always reach in your stash for more or take away. But I got so much mileage just using these 2 elements to create this layout. And it's probably one of my favorites that I've made for this challenge. So there's that one. Love it, love it, love it. And these are photos of me just that I took over the past few months. Me getting at my doctor's appointment when I found out that I had lowered my ACL not ACL, or my A1C. Lowered my A1C by 1 point, me working out, my fitness journal, and then just a picture of some food I was eating, which is a whole plate of fruit and whatnot that I was eating one night as a snack. So there we go. There's that one, 12 by 12 layout. Give us a thumbs up if you're enjoying this layout share and explanation of designs, and I hope that you are getting some tips from this as well. Okay, so let's get into, I've got 2 more that are complete, and then I'll get into the 3 that are, one that I redid, and then 2 that are not, that I'm going to just do at a different time. All right, so here's another one. This is an 8.5 by 11. This one is almost finished. This particular layout's called the Hat Lady, and that's my grandmother, and she's been gone for several years now, but that's my grandmother. Her name is Catherine, and this picture was taken obviously several decades ago. My mom says it was probably in the late 50s, early 60s, maybe 60s when this was taken. But in any event, she loved wearing hats, and someone took this picture of her, and I absolutely love it. This definitely encapsulates her personality. She was a great, great lady. She was my best friend. And one of our family members sent us this picture. They came across it. And so I took a picture of the picture and I edited it just a little bit. And I thought this would be great to go into our family scrapbook album. So this is complete. The only thing that needs to be added is the journaling. And my mom is going to journal for this project. So I left a spot for her to do that here. But this is a layout that was inspired by my friend Megan Andrews. She actually created this design. And I want to say it was for scrapbooking cards today. I can't remember what it was for. But she created, I think it may have been in the magazine, one of our magazine issues. And I absolutely love it, and I thought it would be perfect. What I was going for was a vintage style feel for this layout, because this is an older photo, and of course, because, we've got vintage chic here. So the pattern papers definitely lent well to this photo. And it kind of looks like something like the design that my grandmother would have had in her home at one point. So started with an 8.5 by 11 base, cut a strip of that same pattern paper that's going to run horizontally here, just to kind of give it an anchor. This is probably my favorite pattern paper in the whole pattern, in the paper pad. I just love that blue with the tiny floral, and that worked well. I also mounted that on a piece of the pattern paper that has some gold metallic, just to kind of give it a little bit of shine. And then added 2 clusters. This is all based on Megan's design. There was a cluster here at the top and one over here to the side. And I was able to use some pretty large die cuts. And then I reached in my stash, grabbed some puffy stickers, and look at this cork. Look at all this texture. This is what I'm going to be talking about this Saturday, is using these elements to add a lot of fun texture and dimension to your pages. Sometimes people don't use this. They get intimidated by these textures. This is cork. It's absolutely beautiful. Got some puffy stickers there to kind of round it out. I also used a tag. I want to say this is from Tim Holtz. Tied a little bit of twine there, a little pink twine. And then off camera, I did do some stitching around here. Just using some floss, white floss, just to add a little bit of an anchor to the photo. So for this layout, for the title, reached in my stash and grabbed my favorite thickers font of all time. This is called Woodland, and it's been around for quite a while, and I have like 10,000 packs of it because I never want to run out. But I grabbed Woodland. I also grabbed Delightful, which is a script text. So if you are playing with your title design, then I recommend using 2 different styles of font. One sans serif, one script, depending on what you want to do. And I just love it. I just love it. So pretty. Okay. Then I used a few of the stickers from the Jen Hatfield Homemade collection. This came out in 2016. So reach into my stash for that. Some puffy stickers from Citrus Twist, and those are presented at each cluster here. Then I also used some of these large die cuts from the Avenue collection by Jen Hatfield. This is one of my favorite collections of hers. And then here comes, you guys remember Pink Paisley? I have 5 of these cork hearts left, and I am just hoarding them like there's no tomorrow. But they add so much texture. And I will remember when I first started out with scrapbooking, this is something that I would have shied away from adding to a page. But man, when you add it to a page, look how much texture and shine that is. It's just magnificent. I just love it. I love it. So yeah, grab that. This was from 2015. That doesn't seem that long ago, but it kind of is. It kind of is. So those were the elements that I used to create this layout. But it has such a nice, cute little vintage feel to it. This same layout from the same paper pad as this layout, right? 2 different looks. You can get so much bang for your buck from these paper pads for sure. Okay. All right. Now, let's get into the layouts that they weren't, well, no, never mind. I have one more complete one, and then we'll get into the rejects. Maybe I shouldn't call them rejects. They're just ones I'm going to redo. This one was, I think, the last layout that I made, and it's called Together, A Day in a Life. And this is just me and my little family, just doing some regular things, going to the coffee shop, having lunch, and just hanging out and being silly and the whole nine. So I wanted to document kind of our midday adventures. So if you looked at the cover of this paper pad, you probably wouldn't think that from this paper pad, you can get a layout like this. So this has a lot of neutral colors, and this goes back again to isolating some of the paper pads to create the papers within the paper pad to create a different look. So for this, I reached for the Simple Stories, goodness, what's it called? Simple Stories, Simple Vintage Weathered Garden. They have long titles for their collections, but I love it. To create these beautiful floral clusters. So within that, they had these circular frames. I added a whole bunch of the chipboard florals. And a lot of the layering is on the actual frame itself, right? I didn't have to add a whole ton. It looks like I have a element that just kind of dropped here. So let me just fix that real quick. I think that's supposed to go there. And then I have a sticker sheet that I used to add in the floral bits here that are just shifting everywhere. There we go. To add in a little bit of foliage here to kind of fill out that cluster. And I have 3 photos, and these were printed 3 by 3. And then notice how the page kind of splits, right? So I have top portion photos, then I have a title, but the bottom portion skewed to the right, some photos. Again, just layered those up. There's a little frame here that's backed with some vellum. I had to shift some things a little bit so you can't really see the frame all that much because I needed to have space for the journaling. But another layered cluster here, lots of dimension with the chipboard pieces. Love it. And then used another collection for the title. And then, of course, I did some journaling strips there. Thank you, Cindy. That's very sweet. So there's that. So I pull these pieces. That's from Simple Stories. This was from another Simple Stories collection called Cozy Days, and that's where I got the word together from. And then some Jen Hatfield Homemade collection stuff. So just pulling out all that kind of vintagey filling things from my stash. I also grabbed the Captured, and I forget whose collection this coordinated with, but I absolutely love it. And so I grabbed just a few little elements from that, mainly this little label here. And then, of course, my favorite element that Simple Stories offers, and that is their frames. I absolutely love these frames, and so I used 2 of the frames here on the layout. You would have probably never guessed from this paper pad that you could get something that looks like this. So the starting point for this is the actual pattern papers themselves. And then I went to my stash and I found things that coordinated with these colors. And since a lot of these collections are about family and togetherness and that type of thing, that worked with the theme as well to create this 12 by 12 layout. I'm just going to tilt it just a little bit because my overhead light's glaring on those photos. All right. The only thing that I did with this afterwards was I added I shifted some things over to add the journaling, which I typed up in Microsoft Word and just trimmed out the journaling as strips and adhered that on the page. So there we go. There's that layout done. All right, so let's get into redos and I'll show you what I did. Now, this next layout, this was the original layout that I made. It's called Style Evolution. And I think I was on a good track initially, right? So I've got my 4 blocks of pattern paper. I cut the pattern paper down to 6 by 6 square to create this background. Then I used another pattern paper as a point of delineation. My title up here, these are photos of Corinne trying on clothes. And then I thought that I would reach into my stash and grab elements that really spoke to a teen and clothes and, all those types of things, things that Corinne's interested in, books and, funky tennis shoes and that type of thing. So I reached in my stash and grabbed a whole bunch of stuff that represented that. But once I made the layout, I'm like, I don't really like this at all. I don't like this at all. The background's not working. It's not really working with the photos. I just don't like this overall look. I think the concept's great if I were to rework it for something else, but I didn't like it. So instead, I recreated the layout, totally redesigned it, and this is the new version of the layout, which I like a lot better. This layout I created for my Patreon community. So if you're a patron, this was an exclusive process video for my patrons. So make sure you check that out. There is a link down below if you're interested in becoming a patron. You can learn more about it. What I did was I used a totally different collection because there was nothing in this paper pad that I thought that I wanted to use that I felt worked for the story and what I was trying to go for. So I did a totally different collection, but I still reached in my stash. So from my stash, I grabbed 2 pattern papers. I do have a plastic, not plastic, I have a cube in my paper pad stash, paper collection organization that houses all of my extra pattern papers. And from time to time when I'm designing layouts, I'll go in and I'll reach for pattern papers to make a layout. Okay, so I did this pattern paper base here in this sort of ledger paper, ran a horizontal bit of pattern paper. This is from Simple Stories. I had a little piece of this left over, so I wanted to use it. I also used this pocket card here. This is part of the branding strip. The way that this pocket card was positioned on this 12 by 12 pattern paper, there was this branding strip that I wanted to take advantage of. So I just kept that attached and cut out the card. I also added my journaling. And I came in with some letter stickers from Simple Stories, as well as a whole bunch of embellishments from a variety of different collections to create this cluster up here. Lots of fun detail there. This little cluster over here using some stickers and such from a variety of different things. I don't actually have those materials still pulled, but a lot of this is Simple Stories and a few other things that I pulled. And then this little cluster down here. And again, still using icons that I think represent my daughter. Now, instead of the 3 by 4 photos that I used on the original layout, I used a 4 by 6 photo, and then the 2 supporting photos, I resized to about, I think this is like 2.5 by 2.5. And it's just really showing her little quirky personality as she's trying on these overalls. In the store that we were at. So side-by-side comparison, I like the redo much better. Now I am a big advocate for if it doesn't work, let it go or redo it. It's not a big thing, right? I'm not in the process of redoing all of my layouts, but every now and then, if there's something that's not working, I'm going to redo it. And I'm much, much happier with this layout than I was with this layout. What I'll do is I will deconstruct this and I'll put all the elements away. And then the photos I'll just, I'll keep if they don't rip with me trying to tear them off the layout. So first one was nice, but this rendition is fabulous. Thanks, Deb. Bigger focus with a larger photo. I agree. Crystal says, yes. Look at the difference, right? You didn't have to include the photos of her wearing the blue clothes. Absolutely. And I think that's what threw it off for sure. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think it's much better as well. Much, much better. So don't be afraid to reconfigure the style, that type of thing. I used all stash items here. This was from another little kit that I had put together. I have it put away right now, so I can't show you which elements, but a lot of this is some leftover Simple Stories things that I had and a few other stuff from my stash, but I like it a whole lot better. See, sometimes my layouts don't always hit, guys. It doesn't, I'm just letting you know what you see on Instagram, on Facebook is the polished stuff. You don't always get to see the trash stuff that that I make. So sometimes I make some trash stuff. It's not great. We all do, right? We just make some crappy layouts and, we move on. Oh, I also add a little bit of stitching as well to this layout. Just a couple little X's. So if you like stitching, you don't have to do like the whole thing. You can just add little stitch stuff there. Carolyn says, hi, my name is Carolyn and I have too many paper pads to count. And I'm not ashamed. You know what? You live in your power, Carolyn. You live in your power. By the way, my mom's name is Carolyn. So hello to all the Carolyns today. All right, so let's look at the rejects. Let's look at the ones that I'm not gonna, just were like horrible. I don't like them. They're horrible. Reject number 1. This one had good intentions. So what I wanted to do with this layout was document my daughter who just recently finished her first cosplay costume. She sewed all of this by hand. She used a pattern from a designer in Australia. We bought her pattern on Amazon. This was super, super complicated. This particular costume, I forget the character's name. I wish Corinne was in here so she could remind me what the character is. This is a character from a game she plays called Genshin Impact. And Corinne spent about 6 months making this jacket alone. A lot of it had to do with the fact that our sewing machine was crappy. So anyway, so I want to document the story. So I have 4 photos that are 3x4. And I started out, of course, with the pattern paper base, and I thought I was doing okay. And I added in some embellishments from the I'd Rather Be Crafting collection. This is from Echo Park, and I absolutely love this collection. It's so great. But as I started adding in the embellishments during the live stream, this layout started to look just not great. And I think a lot of it has to do with the pattern paper itself. So when I went back to what my original statement when I started this live is I think that this pattern paper has a lot of beautiful patterns, and I will definitely be using this up, particularly the scraps. A lot of these patterns will work well for other types of projects that I do, like card making, also my miniature builds. Like a lot of this will work very well for those types of projects. I just think that the selection of pattern paper that I chose for this layout just did not work for this particular project. So I'm going to reconfigure this, and maybe I'll post it as a process video here for you guys on the YouTube channel. But I'm going to reconfigure this. I'm going to keep the photos 3x4, I believe. And I'm going to definitely use these icons because, it just fits, right? With the dress form and the sewing machine and the scissors, like it just works for the theme, but I'm just going to reconfigure it in a way that looks a whole lot better. I want to say, I think during the live stream, a lot of you commented that it was the pattern paper that we thought was throwing it off. And I agree. So this one is a reject. It is going away. It's going to be redone, and we're okay with that. We're okay with that. So usually if I'm going to redo a layout, I'm going to go ahead and keep it in its little container. And I have a sticky that says do over in very aggressive handwriting. And I'm going to do this over at some other point, at some other time. So there we go. No harm, no foul. Do over. It's all good. The last one, the last do over, is this pocket page layout. So during the live stream, I made this 9x12 pocket page layout of our time watching The Lion King. This was the first time for Corinne. In fact, she watched it for she's seen it for the second time last week. Second time for me and Bree. And I just don't like this. I don't like it at all. And when I was putting it together, I was trying to make it work, and I don't like it. I think from a design standpoint, it's just not really, I don't know. I don't feel it's my style in terms of pocket scrapbooking. I want to go a different direction with the product, because look at the playbill. It has a lot of yellows. The stage curtain has a lot of reds and yellows and stuff with it, which is fine. But I just don't think that this design does the story justice. So this might end up being a 12x12 layout. I like to scrapbook our Broadway adventures, and I just don't like it. I think it looks super basic, and I don't like it. Like, there's nothing wrong with a clean and simple, but I wouldn't qualify this as a nice, clean and simple. To me, this just kind of looks a little thrown together, and I want to be able to go a different way with this particular design. So this is definitely a redo. So that gets a sticker. Not my fave. Might redo. I'm definitely going to redo that. And I'm going to stick this right in this little folder, and it'll go in my little redo pile, which is not large because those are the only two projects that I'm going to redo. And that's it. So out of that, I think even with the ones I'm going to redo, I got 8 fantastic layouts done that I do like. And they all look a little different, which I love. Using one paper pad, getting a lot of mileage from that. Enjoying the process of creating. And I did all of this live on YouTube. Yeah. You really don't like that. That's true. How could you tell? How could you tell? I used to feel guilty about it when I was a newbie scrapbooking. I'm like, oh, I need to keep this layout even if I don't like it. And I don't want to waste the materials. And I spent so much time and blah, blah, blah. No, over the years, I'm like, I ain't got time for crappy layouts. I just don't. So there we go, my friends. Completed layouts from the One Paper Pad 10 layout challenge. I had a lot of fun making these. I don't know if I'm going to do this challenge again anytime soon. I'll have other challenges. I'll have other things, because this kind of can take the wind out of you making 10 layouts in, 3 hours or so live while talking. All the things. But it's a really fun challenge. Okay. So what did I learn from this go around? One is when you're doing this project, if you are, excuse me, I got an itchy nose. If you're doing this project and you pick one paper pad, whether it's a 6x6 paper pad, a 6x8 paper pad, 12x12, whatever it is that you're using, one, grab something from your stash. That's like the spirit of this particular project, is to grab stuff from your stash. Excuse me, I got a little allergy situation going on here. And see how much mileage you can get out of it. Second, when you're pulling embellishments for your project, let your embellishments be based on the type of projects you want to make. So if you are doing everyday stories for your projects with this one paper pad, then pick out elements that coordinate color-wise and design-wise with your paper pad, but also based on the theme. This is also a really, really good challenge if you're doing something like a holiday album or a vacation album, where you can focus on just using that one paper pad, but a whole bunch of other items from your stash. Now, if the patterns start looking super repetitive, or you're just kind of at inertia to it, don't force it, right? Because then that's going to hinder the creative process. So if you get tired of it, that's okay. Put it away and go use something else. That's perfectly okay. I would say that even though I really like this paper pad, I kind of got tired of using it, mainly because some of the patterns just weren't working for some of the things that I wanted to do. And that's okay. But I got to use a great deal of this pattern paper, which is, great. And I have a whole bunch of scraps left, not a ton, but I've got some scraps left that I can then do things like make cards, I can make tags, bookmarks, I can make other layouts, pocket pages, or I can just have the scrap paper sitting around for other things that I like to do paper crafting wise. I mentioned I like working on miniatures, and so this pattern paper works very well for things like wallpaper and making book covers and whatever. So there's a lot of things that I can do with the leftover pieces of the paper pad. But most of all, this is to get us in the mindset of, while we love to shop, and I'm going to tell you not to shop because I shop for stuff. I'm not saying don't shop. What I am saying is, let's figure out how we can use the things that we have in our stash to make beautiful projects, right? All right, let me go to the chat one more again before we go. You just got my daughter's interest when you said the name of the game. Oh, Genshin. Yes, my daughter has been playing Genshin for a while. Her and Bree both play Genshin. She absolutely loves it. We're gonna go to a con here this summer, or is it fall? I can't remember. So she'll be able to debut her costume. She has on the jacket. That's awesome. The character is it Hu Tao? Hu Tao, I think that is. Yeah. Hu Tao. Okay, thank you for letting me know. I think in the game she's a funeral home director. I believe in the game, if I'm correct. Oh my goodness. Absolutely, Maria. Take care. Cindy says you are a great inspiration. One day I will try this. Heaven knows I have the papers to do it. And you know what? And it doesn't even have to be 10 layouts. It could be, it could be a smaller kit that maybe you haven't used, or a collection. It doesn't have to be a paper pad. And just challenge yourself to make projects from that. Maybe it's 2, 3, or 4 projects, or maybe there's a lot of layouts that you need to get done. Narrowing the number of items that we select, so we're not thinking about things to inertia, and challenging ourselves to use what we have to create really pretty layouts, right? Telling the stories, documenting the photos, telling the stories, the whole 9. All right, couple of things before we head out for this live. First of all, thank you so much. This is the first time I've done a live layout share. So yeah, I had a lot of fun doing that and kind of explaining the design ideas and tips and things behind the projects that I made. And then of course the layouts that were just absolute rejects that I'm going to redo someday. So I'll definitely share those if I redo them. Make sure you head over to the Victoria Marie blog, where you can see pictures of today's layouts that I went through. You can use that as creative inspiration. The link is posted in the description. And if you would like to build your layering skills, I am hosting a series this summer called Let's Create. And we are focusing on layering. Last month, we talked about layered embellishment clusters. This month, we're talking about adding texture and dimension. And so on June 17th, I'll be hosting a live Zoom mini workshop. It's just $10. The workshop starts at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. I know that's either really early or really late for some people who are outside of the Central Standard Time zone. I completely understand that. But the cool thing is when you sign up, you get access to the recorded replay. So if you've got other things you're doing that day, but you really want to get in on that workshop for $10 USD, please make sure you come and check it out. The link is posted down in the description. All right, guys, there's no live stream next week. I'll be in Austin. But after that, when I return, there will be another live stream where I'll be making a really fun scrapbook project. So make sure you stay tuned for that. If you haven't already, subscribed here to the channel, become a part of the Victoria Marie Designs community. We would love to have you. You can find us on Facebook and on Instagram. The links are posted down in the description. If you've enjoyed today's live stream, give it a thumbs up so that YouTube knows that you've enjoyed the content and will recommend this content to you time and time again. And then always subscribe. We would love to have you, and that definitely helps out the channel. Until next time, friends, have a really, really great week, and I will see you around. Bye, everybody.